Some of your comments have got me thinking. I know some of you have said where you live, um, but quite often people mention how green it is and how lovely it is to see the green and how fresh it looks. And it got me thinking that it would be nice to hear beneath this video where you live and what your outlook is, what you can see in comparison to what I can see. Um, it's easy to go along assuming that everybody has the same access to um, greenery and wildlife and open countryside that I do, and of course that probably isn't the case. And it would be nice to be able to even imagine where you live rather than know where I live. Um, so yeah, perhaps you could put in the comments where you live or what your environment's like and how it compares, because I don't know. But based on your comments, I believe that quite often you're not surrounded by green and you don't have the amount of greenery around you that I have. Um, cheers. I don't need therapy, but that's a mug. Um, what was I going to say? I haven't got the chickens out yet. It's just 20 to 9. I've not been up that long. You can probably see the marks still from my CPAP machine. Oh, that was it. Also in comments, there was one comment that made me laugh. It was a negative comment, but it made me laugh. And I'm just going to read it, just the bit that made me laugh. Bitter and twisted, that's what you are. And it sounds like unforgettable, that's what you are. And every time I read it, because I have to go down and it crops up as I go down looking at other comments, every time I see it, it makes me think of that song, um, Bitter and Twisted. That's what I are. Okay, if that's what you want to believe, that's fine by me. Um, so with the pork, I made char siu. It was really nice, but by the time it sort of disappears in the oven, it sort of, because I don't normally cook meat to that degree, so you end up with really lovely tasting pieces of pork, but your 500 grams of meat have diminished somewhat by the time you get to eat it. But it was nice. So it was the marinade. The char siu marinade is really quite high in sugar, so um, I won't be doing that again for a while. And I stood on the scales just now. I haven't been on the scales for weeks and weeks and weeks because um, I think all the time that you're eating the wrong food and you know that you're eating the wrong food and that you know that you're really heavy. I know I'm really heavy all the time, but you know that you're heavier. Um, Standing on the scales just adds to the burden and the depression and the whole thing. But because we've been relatively, we've certainly been bread free for quite a while now, and I've been doing lots of healthy food. We had the stuffed avocados last night because they weren't quite ripe enough the night before. I thought I'll stand on the scales, so I stood on the scales, and they're linked to my phone so that I can record my weight and watch my weight going up in this case. I stood on the scales and pressed waited for the phone to catch up, and there was a warning, and it said, "There's quite a difference from your last weight. Is it you?" And I wanted to say, "No, it's somebody else," but of course it was me. Um, it wasn't too bad. I knew that it wasn't going to be good news, and I'm doing something about it. And standing on the scales, knowing that you're on track and you're doing stuff about it, and you know what your meal plans for the day are, and blah blah blah, is easier than standing on the scales, knowing that you've got I don't know, steak and kidney pudding and mashed potato and gravy and stuff like that for your meal. So it's not too bad, but I think the difference this time when we did the Fast 800, I we as well, I think, were walking, and I had started walking a few weeks before. Got back to walking, was able to walk, and had started walking, and so that just kept increasing my walking. So most days I'd go out for a walk and I'd do a whole block round the block, which was I don't know, 2.5 kilometres. It wasn't massive, but for me it was a lot, and that will have made a difference. But I can't do that now. You know, we struggled around Poitiers. I have never been able to wander. So I have always felt uncomfortable wandering around a city or a town. People, I keep shaking that, don't I? I'm going to have a slurp of this. I've not had any yet. That's better. People that mooch in and out of shops. Never been able to do that. Never felt comfortable doing that. End up with really low backache, and I think wandering around Poitiers the other day was sort of uncomfortable in those terms. And as I said on the video, you know, I'm not really interested in shopping, and yeah, and I wonder whether that's normal. Well, the two things normal. Normal to be uncomfortable just wandering, normal for that to be physically uncomfortable and ending up with low back pain, and normal for a woman not to be interested in shopping. I know what the answer to that's going to be. I'm just not. If I shop, if I were to go shopping to a shop, is it called shopping? The French don't call it shopping for the French. I believe, because I know there's French people watching, I believe that shopping for the French is about going and buying products in different types of shops, and it's not shopping for food. That's a different word altogether. It's faire les courses is if you're going to do your shopping, food shopping. Anyway, that's by the by. So yeah, I'm just not really interested in shopping. Interested in and out of shops, mooching around in shops. I think we did a bit of it when we were in Devon. I suppose I got used to it and we did it because Mark loves mooching around in shops. Now I think that that's sort of unusual for a man. Food shopping, he's, you know, unless I give him something to do, like here's the shopping list, make sure I get the things on the shopping list. I do sometimes get that, you know, standing, holding a, hanging on to the, I was going to say chariot, trolley, looking a little vacant. I know Mark doesn't watch these, so, well, rarely watches these, so that should be safe. But, you know, men do that, don't they? They stand in a shop with their hands on the trolley looking quite vacant. But he'll shop for clothes, shoes, Imelda. Wait. Oh, where's the pause button on this? I can't see it. Oh, there it is. There, he doesn't even need to go shopping in shops. These are his new duck feet boots. I like those. He loves them. He had, I'm remembering now because I couldn't remember, but he had a pair similar to that in a slightly lighter colour, I think, when we first met. I can remember him at work walking around in those. And they are nice. Very nice. He said they're really comfortable. So he was really happy. They arrived in the post yesterday. Yeah, so shopping, not my thing. Wandering around, not my thing. And that's it really. I haven't got the chickens out yet. I'm going to go and do that. I was watching two things with the Vietnamese building life guy. I watched an earlier vlog last night, and he was out catching rock crabs, stone crabs he called them, and he caught quite a few. They're quite big, and brought them back and cooked them and ate them. And I think since that, because it was an early video, that he has been persuaded that it's against YouTube's policy to do those sort of, hunting, killing, eating videos. So then I noticed in a more recent one, because he keeps chickens and lots of chickens, that he was going to have chicken. So he put roast chicken on a spit, but the chicken on the spit was what you see is that he's got a chicken that's already been gutted and plucked and ready to season and put on the spit. And I'm thinking, he would normally perhaps have shown the process, but he didn't. He knows that his viewers are delicate, so he didn't show the process. But what he did do was he shoved the spit, because it was just a long piece of thin bamboo, through the chicken's mouth, down through the neck and out the other end, so that it could be rotated on the spit. But the funniest bit for me was that all of this was taking place on a fire that he'd built on a piece of land just next door to all the chickens running around. And I'm just thinking, and that's, that hundreds of years ago, or not even hundreds of years ago, would have been normal for us. If you lived that sort of life where you couldn't go to the shops to buy food, you had to supply your own food, and you would do your own chicken, you'd think nothing of sitting and killing a chicken, plucking it, gutting it, roasting it, eating it in front of the other chickens. It just wouldn't be a thing. But obviously for our Western appetites, it becomes a thing. That's reminded me, when we were here first here, we used to sit out the back a lot. We don't now because it can get smelly out there, but we used to sit out the back a lot in the summer. And my friend Tina was here, and we were sitting out the back. It was, I don't know, supper time, and all of a sudden we could hear a commotion from next door, and Scroat was killing, I think it was a chicken. So there was lots of squawking whilst he did what he did, and I know what he does, and I won't go into detail for the delicate people, but I could hear lots of squawking, and I looked at Tina, who's vegetarian, and I went, oh my God, of all the times for him to choose to do that, you're sitting out here. I mean, she was fine, but yeah, we are quite a changed culture, really, aren't we, some of us, in how we see food and what we think about how food is, and where our food comes from. And I think it's important to remember where food comes from, especially meat, to know where your meat comes from, or to know what carrots look like. Some kids in some really inner city schools some time back were sort of asked, shown a carrot, and they didn't recognise it, because what they would recognise would be the cubes or the little circles that come out of a tin. That's really sad. We really could do with getting back in touch with where food comes from. There, that's it for today, and I'm going to finish my coffee, and I'm then going to let the chickens out, by which time it'll be about 9 o'clock. They'll be fine. Okay, take care.